Right. Hello, welcome to some Derps Talk About Games. I'm your co-host, Mango.
And I am your co-host, Buddy.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about a movie that's about going real fast and has themes of family. But before we do that, Buddy, why don't you tell the folks at home what it is we do on this podcast?
That's funny. On this podcast, we talk about games, and this is a movie about games, I guess. So here we go. This is not a Fast and the Furious review, as much as I fucking wish it was.
This is a Sonic 2 review, which,
Yep.
weirdly, the Sonic movies might be the best video game adaptation movies, which is,
Oh god, I knew we were gonna get here. Okay, let's go. The Sonic movies are the best video game adaptations.
So
right?
I haven't seen,
Uncharted.
yeah, Uncharted.
I also have not seen Uncharted. Yeah, so just to update everybody with where we stand, the last place that we left off was in our saga. So on the podcast, we've been watching every video game movie, right? And the last place we left off is we both agreed that Detective Pikachu was the best video game movie, right? And I'm in the camp that if Detective Pikachu is the best, Sonic 2 is now the best. Sonic 2 is better than Detective Pikachu. But it's just like, boy, are these video game movies going in a fucking direction I did not anticipate, right? Like,
Yeah, it's interesting because what else? Like the one that pops in my head is the Assassin's Creed movie, which was
oh yeah,
god awful.
I liked I mean, yeah, it was awful, but I also liked it despite that. I think the best serious video game movie has been Warcraft, which I also go to bat for quite often. But Warcraft, like Detective Pikachu and Sonic, none of these have ever really been good, right? They have always kind of been the best. I have a lot of problems with Sonic 2. I had a lot of problems with Detective Pikachu. I had a lot of problems with Warcraft. But they are all, sort of these like middleweight contenders that can't really break into the upper echelons because it feels like I don't know, I guess it just feels like none of them ever really nail the like all aspects of the thing at once, right? Actually, okay, this might be a good jumping off point. It is hard to make a good video game movie, it seems, because the act of playing a video game is so different, right, to watching a movie on screen, right? And I think there are video game movies that have successfully kind of translated the story, but they don't work as game movies, right? Because they don't give you that feeling, like they don't recreate the simulacrum of playing a video game for you, right? And this is something that makes Sonic unique because Sonic does do that in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 specifically. It was the most I'd ever seen a video game movie try and be a video game and succeed at that thing.
Interesting. We'll have to explore that in a minute because I think I generally agree with you, right? Like I think Warcraft could have been a fantasy movie, not about a video game IP. And it would have been, and it would have been what it was on those merits. I think that's kind of what you have to do because like you just can't. Like I think Doom, which was before the podcast existed, had like a first-person segment to it.
Yep.
The other movie popping into my head that purports to be about video games, or the two of them, is Free Guy and the very beginning part of Matrix 3, which kind of like apparently we're the only two people in the world who didn't like Free Guy. Or maybe that's not true, but like I have like from like normies and like normie podcasts I listen to, everybody's like, Free Guy was so charming. I watched it with my daughter and it was a great bonding experience.
Kill me.
Yeah. And maybe that's just the case where we were too close to the source material.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I think you're ultimately right. I think this is interesting because I think Uncharted was relatively well reviewed, but I think you could make an argument that the Uncharted games were like somewhere between a movie and a game in the first place, right? They're very set piece, they're very scripted. You're very much kind of like going through a particular set of motions. Not that
I mean, Uncharted has this copy of a copy thing where Uncharted, the game series, is aping Indiana Jones,
Jones, yeah.
which is aping, adventure serials from the 30s and 40s, right? And so now you have adventure serials in the 30s and 40s become Indiana Jones, become Uncharted the game, become Uncharted the movie. And my interesting is it's not well reviewed. It has a 41% on Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes, and most people I saw talking about it, like film Twitter people, kind of laughed at it, I guess. But I
Okay.
also I never saw it, and I have no filter for for the Uncharted. I've never played the Uncharted games, right? So um that one is very tough to parse, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the only big entry kind of like as like a genre I can think of are like the fighting game movies, which just kind of play out like fighting tournament movies, of which there are several, right? Like
Yep. Street Fighter,
or
all those.
but not only that, but like, Rocky is a movie about about a boxing match.
Yeah.
That is not based on a video game, but like it they parallel an existing genre of movie or kind of like fiction that they can successfully insert themselves into. They basically get away with that by like doing the stock thing with the characters you recognize, and then some cheeky homages or references to the literal video game
Yeah,
material.
if they made a Midnight Club street racing video or a movie, and they made it exactly like a Fast and the Furious movie, because that's like that's obviously a racing
Yeah.
game. It's the same effect, right?
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
slots so neatly into an already established movie genre, that it would be perfectly, perfectly fine kind of thing. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, but let's get into this movie specifically.
Oh
Before we hit the
boy.
spoiler warning, what were your thoughts on Sonic 2?
I waffled so hard on Sonic 2. My first thought was I was like, "Oh, this reminds me of Real Steel." Real Steel. Do you ever see that movie from 2011?
I
It
feel
had
like
Hugh Jackman
I think I
with the
watched it
fighting robots.
robots. I think I
Yeah, yeah,
saw it
yeah.
on an airplane.
Yeah, Real Steel. So I love Real Steel, and I love it for a very specific reason. It is the kind of movie that I saw when it came out when I was like 20 or 21 or something. But that I know that if I saw that as a kid, I would have gone fucking apeshit for it, right? And so it's always kind of served as this barometer for me for like what is a good kids movies? Well, here's Real Steel, plus or minus Real Steel, basically, right? Um, and at first I was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing." Right in the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, I think it's like, okay, here's this medium setup. Sure, I can see how this setup for a movie would be a cool movie. And then it starts dipping again because the movie is just making these absolutely batshit, like fucking buck wild decisions. Like every like, dude, once you get into the sort of the second act, the movie is just making these incredibly weird decisions every few minutes, and they're coming out of fucking nowhere. And you're just like, what? Wait, we're in Russia now? There's who? Why are we doing this whole thing with the bride? You know what I mean? It's just like the weirdest shit. And this is dragging me down. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is not actually a good movie. Maybe this movie is just like fucking terrible and awful. But like all throughout, there's just scenes of good I guess good action is really what I want to describe. It's not good action in the traditional sense, right? Like a thrilling fight scene where I'm not sure who's going to win, but it is good action in the sense of it being a video game movie, putting me in that feeling of, oh, I know what it's like to play a Sonic game, right? This is a Sonic game that is playing out before my eyes. And as you get closer and closer to the climax, more and more of that stuff is happening until it basically just becomes a Sonic game for the back, 20 minutes of the movie. And I just kind of walked away from it just being like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck just happened, right? Anyway, so all of this is to say that Sonic has very high highs and very low lows. It is an incredibly strange film, and on those merits, I recommend it alone. Right? If I recommended the first Sonic because Jim Carrey gives such an insane performance that it is worth your time, I'm recommending this Sonic because the way that it cinematographically telegraphs video games to you is legitimately really good, right? Even if there is a bunch of weird, just weird stuff in here that I'm just like, who wanted this, right? Like, uh
All right. Well, when we get past spoiler break, I'm gonna want you to expound on that because I don't know if I follow you, but I'll give you the chance to do that. For my part, I thought this movie was fine. It felt very kids movie to me. Um, in like and like a lot of the things, like there are things that like popped out at me that like I know I'm supposed to ignore, right? Like this isn't too much of a spoiler, um, because you see it it's like part of the trailers and you see it like very early in the movie, but what like the henchman villain from from the first movie is running a coffee shop in the town that was the subject of the first movie, which like makes no sense. Why would you set up a coffee shop there? Everybody knows you tried to destroy the town, 2 years ago or whatever. And obviously I'm not supposed to think about that, but I do, and it bothered me. Not that I put like but it's like children's movie level logic stuff that like it bothered me on kind of like a cognizant level, but I also recognize that I shouldn't care about that, and I
there
didn't
is
really.
so much stuff like that. It completely floored me. I was like, how did you not get rid of this guy? How did you not just like toss away all of these, bit characters from the first movie? It's like, no, not only are those characters in here, they're getting fucking character arcs, you guys. I'm just like, what? Who out there was asking for this?
Especially, oh, especially with the whole wedding arc. I mean, well,
Yeah, that was the moment that really went. I could not believe it. I just was like, "What the fuck is this? Is this Mad Libs?" And you know what it felt like? To be honest, it felt like I was watching an episode of Kroll Show. Right? It felt like I was watching a sketch comedy improv bit play out on screen in front of me. Right? Like, anyway, we'll talk about all that in spoilers, I
yeah.
guess.
So we'll get there. We'll get there pretty quickly. I just want to finish off by saying, like, I thought the movie was fine. Um, if you want to see another Sonic movie, go watch it. I actually thought Jim Carrey was worse in this movie than in the first one because it felt like almost he was trying too hard. It felt very much to me like how Paul Rudd felt in the second Ant-Man and the Wasp, where he was trying to rebottle like the charm of the first movie, but you
Yep.
can't force it. Um, so there's that. But that's a soft recommend from me. Is that like a hard recommend from you would say?
No, it's a soft
Soft
recommend
recommend.
for me. It is only if you the movie is just so uneven that I would never give this sort of thing a hard recommend.
Okay.
But I think that there's definitely an audience of people out there who are just like man, if you just want to go have a fun time, watch Sonic, go bing 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 bing, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
sure, perfect for perfect
if you
time.
have a small child, not that I do, but I would imagine this would be a fun thing to go see with them, especially if you'd like to be a crotchety old man, and be like, "This is what video games were like in my time."
Yeah,
Since
I
that's gonna be like
also
in
do
Sonic
want to
games
say
forever.
that I think that the stuff with Sonic and Knuckles is legitimately good, which is, one of the core things in the movie. They have a good energy. They have a good sort of odd couple vibe that I enjoyed, even if So, yeah, I do think Sonic 2 is better than Sonic 1. And I also think it's better than Detective Pikachu for those reasons. I just think that there's a bunch of stuff in here that I'm just like, why would you do this? That all that drags the movie way down.
Yeah, no, I mean something that just popped into my head is that Sonic is basically Star Lord and Knuckles is basically Drax in kind of the setting of the movie. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna hit this. We'll hit the spoiler warning now. Spoilers for Sonic and Knuckles 2. I don't think it's actually particularly important, but it's more like, the plot is like 95% of what you would expect, except for some of like this nutso stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
So like if you want to be as baffled as we were by some of the things that happened, stop listening now and go watch the movie.
Okay, so password. Do you think the movie is better than Detective Pikachu?
I don't know if I remember Detective Pikachu enough to like I think ultimately all of these movies are pretty forgettable, right? Like
Mhm.
um and I will
Well, I
say
mean, yeah, I definitely feel that. Some of them are forgettable. Like, I don't remember a specific thing from Mortal Kombat, except that the first 5 minutes and the back 10 minutes are good. But like,
yeah, no, I was
yeah,
gonna say like I remember the original Mortal Kombat very clearly, but I've watched that movie so many times.
yeah,
Um but this movie I will say is better based solely on fidelity to the canon of the series, right? Like Detective Pikachu was always kind of like this like weird kind of like hybrid almost, right? Like it was like Pokemon themed ostensibly, but like not really very Pokemon-ish, which is like a common
Mhm.
movie theme, right? It's like how do you like there's already the anime for people who want like the quintessential Pokemon experience, right? And like, Detective Pikachu was about like a dead dude spirit like possessing a Pikachu detective,
Yeah, and it
right?
is also the thing that I think I dislike about Detective Pikachu in retrospect more than anything else is Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds is so overbearing in that movie that it really drags the whole thing down. Like, and part of that I recognize in comparison, right? So in Sonic and Knuckles, Idris Elba and Ben Schwartz have legit chemistry, right? In that kind of like I said, odd couple vibe, right? Because Knuckles is obviously very, a very serious, driven, honorable warrior, right? And Sonic is wacky and fun or whatever. But the thing that it made me think of when I was thinking in terms of Detective Pikachu was how that was also sort of the vibe that Detective Pikachu was trying to get, right? You had, I don't even remember the guy's name, right? The kid who was like serious and worry wart, right? And then Pikachu who's trying to solve the mystery or whatever.
Sure.
Um and that's the thing that I think really it kind of comes down to. Though also Pikachu is more even because everything is more even than this movie, which plays like, a lie detector test for a guy for like it's like it is just it will go just completely off the rails at the drop of a hat and then just cut back to something else and you're just like, what?
Yeah, I yeah. All right, so let's. Oh man, how do you want to go through
I don't
this?
even know how I want to do it. So I do want to talk a little bit about Sonic and Knuckles because I think they're good, right? The thing that works here specifically is the is that like contrast, and I think part of that, and I swear to God, this is true, but I have no way of proving it. The guy who wrote this definitely watched a lot of Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go because Knuckles is doing the same thing that Starfire does. He is talking the exact same way that Starfire does, where like he doesn't quite understand the English language, and so he's like, "I am winning at base the ball," right? Which is exactly what Starfire does. She like cracks open these weird words and says things in awkward ways. Um, and I'm just convinced that that was the case because that was the big vibe I got from Knuckles. I was like, holy shit, this is just Starfire, but from Idris Elba's voice.
Yeah, no, that makes I totally get that. And also like these people were like I feel like they were clearly fans of kind of like pop media in general. Like I don't know if you caught it, but Sonic has a Parks and Rec callback.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Yeah. I saw the. I was
so
like,
what?
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like then that is the only moment that I remembered that Sonic was Ben Schwartz, right? Like
Yep.
like the actors, to their credit, disappear into their roles pretty well, right? Like this did not feel like an Idris Elba specific performance, right? Like whereas and Ben Schwartz did not feel like he was being Ben Schwartz as Sonic, right? Like obviously they bring their talents to the roles, but I did not like I did not go into this being like that is the Idris Elba I know and love from the other things I've seen him in, which I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But um, and I thought they did excellent jobs, but then and they have the moments like like the Parks and Rec callback obviously brought that back to my head, but like they fit very well into the roles, which in contrast to Detective Pikachu, where I always remembered he was Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
Which might speak to their style of
Yeah, and part
acting.
of this is
But
also Jim Carrey is also sort of this, but and I do agree with you that he's worse. I think what happened is on the set of the first Sonic movie, he was just improvising all the time. That's the sense I get, and they just kept a lot of that ad libbing in the movie, and it all worked, and it was all great. In the second film, it feels like half of the time it's that, and half of the time they wrote it into the script, and Jim Carrey is just not good at naturalistically delivering like lines that were written to be like ad libs. Right. And so I think that's overall why Robotnik is worse and less fun. He's got good stuff in there.
yeah,
But it kind of takes that A performance down to a B. if that makes sense.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with it. Like I think you've probably nailed it on the head. There were a lot of moments that felt like very fellow kidsy to me, which I think is how you get, or that's you get those by kind of trying to write things that are supposed to come off
Yeah,
as
and it's crazy because there will be jokes that land perfectly, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then immediately thereafter, there are jokes that completely fail. And I'm just like, what? How is this happening? Right? Like, how do you go like bit to bit just that wildly? You know, like the one that I think of is there's the moment where Knuckles is climbing back up the cliff and he's about to swear vengeance because of the robots, but then he's like, "Oh, these are stairs," and I thought that
yeah.
was funny. I was like, "That's legitimately good." And then he walks up to the stairs, and then Jim Carrey starts flossing, and I was
Yes.
just like, "God, what the fuck?" You know, how is it? Who did that? You know?
Yeah, the flossing moment felt very much like almost like in parallel to like the what are those moments from Black Panther, which I hate so much.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
again maybe this is me being an old man, and being like you kids have bad memes. My memes are good memes and your memes are bad memes. But
Yeah.
uh,
What are our memes? When were our memes good?
they were never good as a secret.
Yeah, like Rage Comics,
Yeah, Rage
F7,
Comics
U12.
and like early advice animals.
Yeah, yeah. The like the early advanced animals that all were like one note and terrible, right? Like awkward penguin or that seal that 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 looked awkward that everybody made advice animals out of. Yeah, like all of those. I feel like all those memes suck.
Yeah, I mean, oh, man, I honestly I think this is kind of like the kind of like standard nostalgia trap where like 90% of everything was bad and there were but like you remember the good ones. And like this is true for I think like almost all media across all time. Um, where like maybe with some exceptions for like the dawn of certain types of media where like you could only like there were only like 7 things a year, so they were de facto the best.
Yep.
Um, but that doesn't particularly apply to this movie, I don't think. Like maybe it does in that it's the best Sonic movie, um, or the best video game movie even.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the things the other things that I want to highlight as being good are the avalanche fight snowboarding sequence, which at first I thought was kind of doofy, but I eventually got into it specifically when kind of Sonic goes airborne, and you see that they start doing the thing that you can do in Sonic. You know, okay. So to back this up a second, Sonic games are purported to be about speed, but they're really about momentum, right? Really, what Sonic wants you to do is get up to a certain amount of speed, right? And then execute flawlessly in very fast scenarios such that you do not lose your speed, right? So it is really a game about keeping your momentum rather than, about going very fast, essentially. And one of the key things that happens in those Sonic movies, right, is you have the spin dash, right, where Sonic goes into the ball and he sort of hovers for a second and then he dashes and kind of target locks to a thing. And Sonic games will constantly be about spin dashing to go like bang 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 bang, like bounce through a million things like a pinball and kind of move onward. And the first time that really happens in this movie is with Dr. Robotnik's, you know, robots following him down this Siberian cliff. How do I even explain this, right? Following him down this Siberian cliff where he jumps off the cliff and he's like, bouncing between all of them, and then he has his kind of fight scene with Knuckles, right? Um and I think that stuff is really good. It also, by the way, comes back at the very end when there is honestly just a very well made shot where Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic are all running through the main street of the main street of Green Hills, fighting Dr. Robotnik's robots. Where Sonic is spin dashing and Tails is doing whatever and Knuckles is punching guys or whatever, and it's like it reminded me of the Avengers shot, right, where each of them are doing their own specific thing. Like Thor is zapping a guy with lightning, and Captain America throws the shield at a guy, whatever, right? And them just kind of like coming together. And I was like, this is also very good, right? This is really good kind of I really hesitate to call it action filmmaking, but it really is what it is. It is action filmmaking in a just completely different way of meaning that term.
sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. absolutely. Um, but yeah, I agree. It was good. I think it's Sonic Heroes is the name of like the game where like you basically play a team. It's like usually like a speedster, heavy, and I forget what the third one's supposed to be, but like
Oh my
the
god, I played so much of this game on the PlayStation 2. It is Sonic Heroes, you are correct.
I so you know I I was hospitalized when I was in middle school because I had like an infected pimple on my chin. Um, and it was like during a snowstorm, so I was there for a couple of days. And they had a GameCube on like a cart, and I played Sonic Heroes the entire time I was there because it was like the best game
Oh
that they
my
had.
god.
Um, but yes, so yeah, I played a ton of that, even though I didn't think it like I don't think I think it was supposed to be like a middling Sonic game. I don't know. The Sonic 3D games have been mixed from what I understand
Yeah, I
at
remember people
best.
not liking it, but I always thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
Is it on Steam? I'm trying to see if it's on Steam because I would actually really like to play it if it is.
You probably
But I
shouldn't
guess
preserve your childhood
you're
memory.
probably right. Wow, I guess it's not on Steam, huh? I see a lot of the old Sonic games on here, but I don't see Sonic Heroes. Man, what a bummer.
Yep. Um. But yeah, that was what it evoked for me. And I think I generally agree with you on most of those points. But like, it seems like the people who wrote like the overarching plot structure. I don't want to like this is gonna sound harsh, but didn't care. I think they assumed that like kids wouldn't care about like you know the logical like A to B plotting points. They just cared about like seeing cool stuff, which is probably fair. Um, like because like the wedding part happens right after the Siberia thing, because Sonic gets human the human character who I can't remember his name, the sheriff, uh, to throw a throw a ring to get him out of Siberia because he has lost all of his rings. Which
Mhm.
another thing that has been setting at the back of my mind is like, is he just out of rings? Like, does he they don't replenish, right? Like, they're just there for.
Yeah, they fall out of the satchel. He never gets them back, but they do use rings later
Yeah,
in the movie in other spots. So,
yeah. I mean, it's clearly a plot contrivance. Like, one
yeah.
to have like the rings go flying everywhere thing, which is a reference to the uh to the games, and also to have to have Professor or to have Sheriff Man summon Sonic to the wedding, where the wedding is immediately revealed to be a ruse entirely to entrap Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, this is the part. At first, the wedding I thought was, oh, they're writing out their human characters, right? So
Yes.
they wrote the human characters in. They didn't want the human characters. People want to see Sonic. They want to see Knuckles. They want to see Robotnik. So they are, just putting the human characters on the bench for this one. He's gonna be in Hawaii the whole time. It's like the Happy Days guy. I think the TV trope name for this is on a bus. You put them on a bus, right? Because they go to a different town and then they never show up again, right? The Happy Days version of this is that someone has a brother who walks upstairs
Is
and never features in the series ever again, right? Um, and then they kept cutting back to the wedding. And I was like, okay, maybe they're not on the bus. Richie's older brother. Yes, Richie's older brother walked up the stairs and famously never featured in the TV show again. It was like he didn't even fucking exist. Um and I was expecting something similar, but then they cut back to the wedding, and Tom is sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, I wish Sonic had that to like." And there's a whole bit where Tom just keeps getting smacked in the face with a volleyball, and I was just like, "Who is this for?" Right? Like, did they just get a lot of footage? Is the Four Seasons on Oahu paying them a lot of money?
I was
By
gonna
the
say
way,
they definitely were, right? Like there were so
the
many.
product placement in this movie was horrendous. It was some of the worst I have ever seen in my entire life, right? And I have seen the moment in World War Z, right? Which, by the way, What a movie. I've seen the moment in World War Z where Brad Pitt figures out the vaccine to the zombie virus, and he infects himself with it so that the zombies can't see him anymore. The zombies can't sense him anymore. And the first thing he does is he walks to a vending machine and he smacks it like Fonzie, and an ice cold Pepsi drops out, and he just goes like, mm, mm, mm. Into the camera. That's it. Well, some of the worst product placement I've ever seen. Oh, the Power Rangers movie. In chat, the Power Rangers movie was also like this with Krispy Kreme donuts, and it's just like, wow, it's gotten so much worse.
Yeah, Sonic really enjoyed, like, Sonic needed to like get snacks, so he reaches and gets Oreo thins from the grocery store. I was like, is Sonic gonna steal the Oreo things? Like, no, he pays for it by like putting money down, which
yeah, and so they constantly mention the Four Seasons in Oahu. They constantly show. Oh, actually, at the end of the movie, they show the Chevy Colorado or something, right? Just like the truck, and it looks like I'm watching a car commercial, right? Like it is this perfect, pristine car, or it's like one of the shots in like the Transformers movies where the cars are driving and you're like, yeah, you know that General Motors like paid $1 million to get that shot in the fucking movie, right? And there was just a million of those. It happened so many times.
Yes, but I don't think the normally the government like the federal government will pay money to like when military or no. It's generally kind of like they will like let you use the military equipment, but there's some sort of like vaguely propagandistic thing that happens. I think this happened a lot in the early Transformers movies. That has gradually been phased out for like Chinese money for much of the same thing. But the military here is a bunch of incompetent clowns. Like you said, the volleyball scene seemed like weirdly mostly about like showing off a bunch of guys that are very muscular. Like,
yep,
is that like mom bait? Maybe like that was like the only thing I could think of.
Yep, and then there is it is revealed. And by the way, so I want to explain a bit that happens in. I want to explain a bit that happens in Kroll Show that I could not get out of my mind. There's a lot of weird Kroll Show references, by the way, in here that I want to just take a minute to unpack for the one person in our audience who fucking cares. Okay, so the plot point of she is in a sham wedding, right? That is the final episode of the first season of Kroll Show is called You Got Namdi. Do you know who Namdi Asamoah is?
No.
He was like he's like a famous football player, like a quarterback. And the plot of the episode is that one of the characters, so for anyone who doesn't know, Kroll Show is a sketch comedy show, and all of the sketch comedy shows are fake reality TV shows, right? One of the shows is called Publicity. It's based off their names, where Jenny Slate and Nick Kroll in drag play two Beverly Hills publicists named Liz and Liz. And the episode is Nick Kroll's version of Liz, who's called Beefy Liz, by the way. She is now engaged to be married to Nnamdi Asomugha, this football player, right? And the other Liz is like, how did this happen? How did you are so ugly, but whatever. And they go for it. And then the whole wedding turns out to be yet another reality show called You Got Namdied, right? Which is Nnamdi Asamoah's prank show a la Punked from Ashton Kutcher, right? And I swear to God, the way in which it plays out in Kroll Show could be mirrored, like shot for shot, the sham wedding playing out in the Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm like, did they watch this? Are they taking notes to the first season of fucking Kroll Show for how to structure the fact that Rachel is so devastated that, like her wedding was a scam? And then it becomes an action set piece where she almost runs over the guy in a golf cart, and then he later takes a metaphorical bullet, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Who cares? Who was like, oh, yes, the bit, angry black woman from the first movie actually has to have this subplot where, she falls in love with her fake fiance and he actually reciprocates the feelings because he feels bad about deceiving her. And it's just like, what the fuck? This is such a fever dream. I don't understand.
Along with all like the implications that go along with that, right?
Mhm.
That like, but like, and to be fair, to be fair to that character, I guess, um, which is like,
Who are you fair to? Who needs to be?
well, you said he reciprocates the feelings because he feels bad, and canonically, it's because he actually felt, I broke the one rule of undercover work, never fell in love.
That's true.
I'm sure there are more rules of undercover work.
I'm pretty sure rule number one of undercover rules is don't say that you're an undercover fucking agent, Randall. But yeah, I guess don't fall in love is important as well. Can you imagine him in the meeting with like that old white guy? It's like, all right, there's only one rule. Okay, tell me what it is. Never fall in love. Wait, there's not a rule to like protect the secret? I don't have to not tell them that I'm a spy. No, you can tell them you're a spy. Just don't fall in love. Like, well, I don't even understand.
Yeah.
Honestly, the shot itself was also hilarious to me. And I was like, this is a bit, right? They're doing a bit because the bride is driving the golf cart. It says just married, right? She's yelling at the top of her lungs. Randall jumps out of the way, right? And then she like does a power slide with the golf cart, steps out of it as it rolls behind her and explodes into like the bridal, like the marriage trellis or whatever. And then it cuts to two different camera angles of the same explosion so that it's like the typical action movie thing of the cool person walking away from the explosion, but it's a it's a black
Bridezilla.
lady in a bride in a wedding dress. And I was just like, I don't understand. Was that a joke? Was that serious? What? Who wanted that? Who asked for that? Right?
All to service like a vaguely like a vaguely consequential like a third act turn, right? Like we already have the problem that like Robotnik and Knuckles have the the secret compass, and this just like puts another roadblock in the way. To bring back the villain from the first movie, that like, honestly, I will say they got me. I was not expecting that at all. I was not expecting, General Fuck Up to show up again, right? And he has some pretty good, like, honestly, one of my favorite jokes, which is like a very much like made for adults joke in a kids movie, is like, "You're done, Robotnik. We've cut your funding," which is like, it was like, so perfect for what they were going for. I don't know that joke. I love that fucking joke.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. And then there's also all the stuff with Wade, by the way, like the bumbling sidekick police officer from the first one, who, by the way, also plays a character in Kroll Show. He plays a character in the Degrassi show Wheels Ontario, where he plays a douchebag American because the Wheels Ontario kids go to the United States to look at colleges. And he does like did you ever do that where you like stayed at the college overnight?
I don't know if I ever stayed, but I knew that they were things that happened.
Yeah. And so Mikey, the Canadian character, stays at the water polo dorm, and the guy who plays Wade is the guy who is like the douchebag water polo American jock in that dorm, but he misinterprets the fact that Mikey is polite because he's Canadian to mean that Mikey is gay, and he tries to make out with Mikey. Oh, homo milk? Yeah, and they're constantly making jokes about like honestly very mean-spirited jokes about like the American like legal system and how expensive like college is and everything. It's like, oh, so how much do you pay us to go here? And he's like, oh, no, you pay us. And Mikey's like, really? in Canada, the government pays you a stipend because learning is for everyone, right? Like those are the bits. And I'm just sitting here like, who wanted Wade to have this whole like extended bit, right? He has 2 whole bits in the show in the movie where he pops up to help Sonic and Tails, and then also later goes and captures the bad guy and then gets captured himself in the very end, and that doesn't even really seem to matter. I don't know. I was just like, how did they really have to get this guy back? Could you have let him go maybe?
He's the goofy guy, and he wears the alarm on his head, so the kids all went, ha ha.
To
I
be honest, I
guess.
actually really like him.
Yeah.
I much preferred his bit to the Bridezilla bit, but I don't know. What a picture.
There's a fucking dance off inside
I forgot about the dance off.
to your
Holy
favorite
shit.
song. Everybody knows that you love fucking.
To Uptown Funk to Bruno Mars. I cannot believe I forgot about that. Yeah, it is not even to Uptown Funk. And they did this all over the movie. They had a million needle drops in this movie that play for 15 seconds and then just move right along. You know what I mean? I was just like, why would you even pay for the rights to this song if you're not going to use it? I don't understand.
Oh man, a fucking like this weird fucking Siberian thing where like they walk into just like, and then like a Russian man, they're going to throw them into a fire, and then they demand a dance off, to which the Russian folk oblige, which attracts you. Like, am I supposed to recognize the Russian man in the jumpsuit? Because like it feels like it zooms in on him as kind of like a reveal, right? Like he's gonna turn around.
You know what I feel like? I feel like he is some guy on TikTok that has a gazillion followers, and they are all 11-year-olds. Like that's what I bet it is.
I maybe like I guess I don't. You might be right there, but then,
yeah, he shows up and he's doing his Russian dance, which honestly his dance was incredibly cool and also good. And then they do this thing with Sonic and Tails that is laughably dumb and stupid to Uptown Funk, which is a song I like a lot, but just like it's not even like it's not even like maybe like the what's the dance movies? What are those movies called? Step Up?
or yeah, something like that.
Have you ever seen any of the Step Up movies?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because the Step Up movies, even if they are sort of dumb, work, right? They work because the dances are legitimately well choreographed, right? And like you get that mounting sense of tension and momentum, right? Because a lot of them they're almost always about a dance competition, and so it's one gang of dancers versus another gang of dancers, right? And you do that thing where the bad guy dancers go first and their routine is really sweet and like tight or whatever, right? And then the good guy dancers go and they're awesome and they win it or whatever. And that doesn't happen here because the VFX guys doing Sonic and Tails just like they don't seem to exist in the space, and the models are so awkward that it doesn't even look like they're dancing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked this guy up. His name's Shay Kubler, and he is not a TikTok person, I don't think. He is all he does. He's like a dancer on like he is credited as like dancer #1 on Psych and on one episode of Psych, and another dancer in another Cinderella story, or dancer in fucking or FBI Square dancer #7 in Jinxed, and he's like the choreographer for like a couple different minor things. All he is like a dancer. He's good on him, I guess.
Okay.
So that makes that scene even more confusing because I thought that was supposed to be a reveal, right? Like he turns around and it's like, it's like it does like the zoom in on the back of his head as if he's gonna turn around. It's gonna be like fucking, I don't know, Sean Connery or something. And we're gonna be surprised or whatever. But
Yeah.
But
This
yeah,
is making me want to watch Step Up. I have seen the original Step Up, which features Channing Tatum, but I don't know if any of the other ones feature Channing Tatum. And I remember actually thinking that the first one is kind of pretty good, but like also dumb, but like maybe pretty good. And I sort of wonder if Step Up is secretly like Fast and Furious, and if I watch all of them, I will love them and be like going hard for Step Up lore.
the Step Up cinematic universe.
Yeah, the Step Up cinematic universe. I can't find any of the. I'm trying to find like any of the things on like YouTube or whatever, just to like see if I can prove my point via YouTube video. But yes, whatever. The fucking Siberia stuff was also completely batshit. It's just like, and I think it highlights one of the problems for the movie, which is when the movie is doing stuff with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, it's all fine because they are all kind of like I don't want to say equivalent, but like
They're consistent.
they have the
within
same aesthetic,
yeah.
right? But when you have lots of interaction between the three of them and normal humans, honestly, not even Robotnik, because Robotnik himself is so cartoonish that it's fine when Robotnik is talking to Knuckles. I don't have any issues with that. But when Sonic is like, or like when Tom kneels down to hug Sonic, I'm just like, this is so fucking weird. Like,
Yep. I also didn't buy the fucking father son dynamic that they arced through. Like,
oh, it is so weird that Sonic is supposed to be a fucking kid.
yeah.
I don't know how to handle that.
Not only that, but like, and like I knew it was coming because early scene in the movie is like, you're not my dad, and then he calls him, calls him dad, and like what's the wife character says like, let's go get our kid. It's like that felt weird. That felt like really weird. But
especially because Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails are all like supposed to be the same age. And am I supposed to understand that Knuckles is a 12-year-old who is like out to avenge his father's death? Like, what?
yeah, I guess. And like presumably Tails like we didn't get any tragic backstory from Tails, right? Like presumably he's got parents out there that are just like, where'd you go? Where?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like Tails in the movie just mostly because I think Tails was worse than that. Like Knuckles and Sonic had chemistry. Tails and Sonic did not. Sonic and Tails kind of Tails just sort of shows up out of nowhere and kind of for no reason, it felt like, and almost felt more like a plot object than anything else, right? As this thing for Sonic to fret over more than a character to interact
Yeah.
with.
Also, like the implicate. It's like, yeah, I saw you on like the radio waves, and I watched you all the time. And it's like in this panopticon that apparently he had access to, but no longer like again, this is nitpicky bullshit. But like this is me being like, what? How did this work? How did any of this work? I also think that like as a character, Tails works better as kind of like a guy in the chair. With like limited on screen, kind of like almost like a Merlin in the Kingsman series. With like limited kind of like appearance in the actual plot. But we didn't get that. We got like this weird kind of like super fanboy that like appeared out of nowhere and was just kind of like was there to be Tails, which was fine. But also, yeah, I don't because like
Also the Tails thing was very weird watching it on screen. I don't know why this never bothered me, but like obviously tails do not work that way. Animal tails cannot be,
they can't
rotated like a helicopter. Never bothered me for a second in the games. But the moment I saw it in the movie, I was just like, ugh. Like, like
yeah, I don't.
I think honestly, it's probably because the movie, the games are so cartoonish that you're willing to let those leaps in logic work. But like, there's a moment where Sonic has water in his quills, I guess, hair quills, and he's like brushing them, and they are moving, and I'm just like, Because like it is, it is like you're just not supposed to interact with it. The spikes are just blue spikes. I don't want to know the specifics of how the blue spikes work in our reality, right? Especially when they're standing next to people whose whole faces are smaller than one of Sonic's giant eyes. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you doubt the power of foxtails? I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
not trying to.
sure Tails is supposed to be like a reference to like the kitsune, right? Like the too lazy in the chat says also says disbelief hedgehogs can't talk. They're also not blue.
Yeah, okay, you know what else got me on this level? Okay, this is the other thing that I was just like, it's weird. The gloves. The fact that they're wearing gloves, right? So Sonic wears gloves, Knuckles wears these boxing gloves, right? And Tails also wears gloves. And normally would not bother me, right? But the movie pays a special attention to the fist bump as a thing and includes multiple kind of close-ups on the Knuckles fists, Sonic's fists. They're doing this bit with like handshakes or whatever. And I could not look away. I was just like, how did he get these gloves? Why does he wear the gloves at all times? Why does Knuckles have
The spikes.
red? Does he have the spikes under the gloves? Because like, in the cartoons or whatever, you don't see it in those details. You never like get that close. But I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the seams and I'm like, this is very clearly a boxing glove, right? That he's in, and I'm looking at the seam that's going out on on the outer edge. I'm just sitting there like, what? And it's just that level of thought that fucks with me so hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, these are not like big criticisms of the movie.
Yeah, these are not real. These are very not real criticisms. They are just fucking weird.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Also, we like the weird implied world building. Apparently, Sonic's dad fought with like Knuckles' mom. Not Knuckles.
No, wait. Knuckles' dad fought Sonic's mom, who was an owl.
Well, no, but like presumably their adopted mom, right? Like that's
yeah. And then Sonic's mom murders Knuckles' dad, right? They're all dead after
they murder each other, apparently.
Yeah. So like, fuck.
And like, this is also like, kind of hand waved away at the end of the movie that like, and it turns out both the echidnas and the owls were right in some way. They just had different philosophies on like how power should be used, I guess.
Yeah. Also, when Knuckles picked up the fragments of the Chaos Emerald, the Master Emerald, and smushes it together, and by the way, his boxing gloves, and there's a new Master Emerald. Is that the Master Emerald, even though it lacks the previous 7 emeralds that were used to create the Master? I was just like, what? I don't know, man. This movie's fucking weird. The last thing I want to talk about is Jim Carrey. Specifically the ending of the movie, because Jim Carrey does in fact pilot a giant robot that actually looks like Eggman, like a giant robot Eggman robot. And this part's great, and I have no notes, and I just wanted to mention that it's good. That's it. That's my whole thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like they did some smart stuff with it, right? Like it is a thing that is controlled by, like his weird emerald power, but he like built backup manual systems into it, which, like that's smart. Like, I thought that was neat. I thought that was very neat.
Yep. I also thought that was neat and clever and cool and fun, right? And a nice little twist in the third act for Sonic. Oh, by the way, Sonic goes fucking Super Saiyan. Have we not mentioned this yet? Sonic goes Super Saiyan and uses his Goku Super Saiyan powers to defeat the giant mech.
That's classic Sonic using the Chaos Emeralds, though. So that's
I'm doing a bit here, Mango. Oh. Okay, fuck. Back you up here. Actually, Sonic does this by taking all of the Chaos Emeralds
Well, I mean,
turning into that golden
but
Sonic.
it's like a commonly known. It's his final
Yes,
smash
it
in
is.
Smash
It's true.
Brothers.
I honestly am sure that if I was like a really hardcore, there's this one guy who I sometimes chat about. He's like a WoW guy on Twitter, but I guess he's also a Sonic fanboy, and he went ape shit. I think he saw Sonic 4 times over the course of like the opening weekend, and he was just like, "Don't ruin the movie for anybody else." You know, like there's some amazing stuff at the end of the movie, and I can't help but mention, and I can't help but expect that it is this, right? I know, Box, if you're out there, buddy, I'm so glad that you got the Sonic movie you deserve. Like,
Oh man. So it's funny because you just reminded me of something that Super Saiyan Blue is like a form now. So I guess things have come full circle. Sonic transforms into goes Super Saiyan, and the Super Saiyans turn into Sonic.
yeah, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it. Is it called Super Saiyan Blue? Isn't that like Saiyan God?
There is a
or
Super
something?
Saiyan Blue. I'm looking at the Dragon Ball wiki. Super Saiyan Blue. Alternate names is Super Saiyan God SS, Super
Okay.
Saiyan God SSB. Debuted in Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F in the movies or Clash Frieza, whatever. I don't fucking
Wait,
give a shit.
Resurrection F. That's the one where Frieza came back, right? That everybody freaked out about.
Yeah, its debut in the anime was Clash exclamation point Frieza versus Goku. This is the result of my training. Honestly, I don't care. I don't. You could not. I do not care about Dragon Ball in any way, shape, or form.
I want to care about. I watched all the Dragon Ball when I was a kid, but I don't know, it's one of those things where I want to sit down and I want to be able to just like put it on my other screen and watch all of Dragon Ball again, but I don't think I would ever actually be able to do that.
Yeah,
It would just be like fucking impossible.
I get that. No, I get that 100%.
Anyway, I guess that's about it when it comes to Sonic
Oh,
2. By default the best video game movie, but also not by a lot.
yeah. I do want to say that I thought it was like another nice callback was the instruction manual for the Robotnik was a Sega Genesis style manual,
Yep.
which I thought was great. Like I thought there were a lot of nice little touches. The thing I missed.
Oh, the thing on the credits was as like a 16-bit pixel kind of recreation of the movie, right? It was just
Yeah.
like a greatest hits, all of the things that happened over the course of the movie, and but like done like it was a like a 16-bit Sega game.
Something that I did that I thought was a vast oversight was they didn't play the like drowning music when Sonic was drowning. I was like,
That would have been fucked up, but cool.
like he did the like swallow the air bubble thing, but I was fully expecting to hear like the thing because like that was so iconic.
Yeah. Oh, and so there was one more thing to talk about, which is the post credit scene, the mid credit scene. Is there one at the very end of the movie? I did not stay for that.
I did not either. I
Okay.
I Google like I for every movie now, even ones that shouldn't have them. I Google to see if they have a post credit scene because some of them do. And this one I think just had the mid credits. But yes.
Okay. Yeah. The mid credit scene is that Shadow the fucking hedgehog is a thing, and who has apparently been on Earth for 50 years, and the general like knows about it. What the fuck? I don't know Sonic the Hedgehog lore like basically at all. So I have no idea what any of that means, but
So I'm pretty sure the Sonic the Hedgehog lore in general doesn't apply here because I do know that there is a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog lore that people care a lot about from an Archie Comics run. Like it had a comic on Archie Comics, and apparently there's a lot like there's like that. And there's also I think another run that have like a deep lore to them that are like supposed to be like very very kind of complex and good, but that are mostly non-canon now. Um,
wow.
so
Okay.
yeah. I have occasionally seen panels that are like some batshit nutso stuff happening, like people turning to stone and like people crying about it. I think the
Wow.
comics is where Sally Acorn comes from originally because I think she's original to the comics.
Sally.
I don't even know if she's been in a game.
What? The image results on this are sort of fucked up. What's the girl Sonic character?
Amy Rose.
Amy Rose. What is she? Is she a hedgehog? What is she?
I guess.
Oh, we're on the Sonic wiki now. Okay, also known as Rosie the Rascal, is a fictional character that appears in Sonic the Hedgehog series. Anthropomorphic hedgehog with a major crush on Sonic. Okay. Yeah, because she is also in Sonic Heroes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Um, apparently there's like a fucking thing called the Super Genesis wave that like merges like the multiple Sonic I don't, you know what? I can't go down this rabbit hole over on this podcast of understanding Sonic lore. Because like I googled Sally Acorn and there's two Sally Acorn entries. There's Sally Acorn pre Super Genesis wave and Sally Acorn Archie, which I don't fucking know.
Oh my god. I'm like going down a rabbit hole now. I am now on Team Chaotix, which features Vector the Crocodile, Espio the Chameleon, and Charmy B, who run the Chaotix Detective Agency. Despite being a Gucci Bunks is not as involved in the ongoing world-spanning conflicts as often in Sonic the Hedgehog and his other allies, Team Chaotix are nonetheless a competent trio when the need arises, and are always ready to lend a hand when the world is in danger.
Apparently, the original maybe the original comics is what I'm thinking of with the by Ken Penders, who had a lawsuit against Archie over the Sonic comics. There's like so much. You know what? We're not gonna go.
We're not gonna get it. Yeah, there's no way we're gonna get all the way to the bottom of this. Rouge is Sonic. Who the fuck is Rouge? Oh, I
Rouge
actually
the
know
Bat?
who Rouge is. Rouge is the Bat, right?
Rouge is the sexy one.
Yeah, Rouge is the Bat who's a member of. See, okay. Oh yeah, okay. I remember Rouge because in Sonic Heroes, she is the Tails in Shadow the Hedgehog's like special team.
Have you heard of Sonic Dreams Collection?
Mm-mm. Oh, is that the one the fan games that they like actually published?
So, this no. That's a different thing. The Sonic Dreams Collection is a weird dystopic fan game that involves a pregnant Sonic and going inside of pregnant Sonic and finding like Big and the Cat inside of Sonic's like they're finding Big the Cat inside of Sonic's intestines. Yeah. You know,
I do know Big the Cat because he was also in Sonic Heroes, which is the basis of my lore, I guess.
There is of course you can watch 1,000 different what's it called? YouTubers doing it. But I'm going to recommend the two best friends play version of Sonic Dreams. Sonic because I used to like them back when they were a thing before the end times. But it is it's fucking nuts. And I recommend looking up looking up a playthrough of it just to see how weird it is. But yeah, that's all we're gonna say, I guess, about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie.
Yeah. Okay. You know, it's funny. You mentioned Kingsman earlier. I did finally see the Kingsman, which is the prequel on HBO Max, which I quite enjoyed up until Rasputin died, and then it was fine. Rasputin was the best part of that movie, in my opinion.
I have not seen it. Is it good?
Oh wait, I thought didn't you tell me to watch this movie?
No,
okay. Fuck. What was the movie that you watched? It was like this, and you were like, you should watch this. I guess I'm not gonna remember, but whatever. Movie good. Though also very weird and kind of funny that it got made, because it has a couple of like really sweet plot twists that I did not see coming, but were actually very cool when they played out. Which is interesting, right? Like it is not the kind of I don't know, it's not the kind of thing you would expect.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's was that like a soft recommend again for Kingsman, or is it a hard?
Yeah, no, it's a soft. It is a good movie to watch when it's Saturday night, you got nothing going on, and you're just like, man, I wanna find something. Go to HBO Max, turn on Kingsman, A+.
All right, that's fair enough. Anything else that you did particularly exceptional with your week?
I did a lot of stuff. The big thing that's been happening with my week is there's a new Stellaris DLC that is not out yet that I want to play so bad because I have the itch to go back to Stellaris. Basically, I went back to Warhammer 3, and I started playing a little Warhammer 3, and even though I like a lot of the changes, including the change that I literally recommended and they took word for word, which I'm very proud of. I kind of realized that I put 100 hours in that game when it first came out. I'm a little burnt. I was like, I want to wait. I want to wait. When I get a new thing to play, I'll come back to the game, right? When I get a new, Chaos Dwarves or new units or whatever, something kind of along those lines. Right now, Warhammer 3 feels very kind of samey and linear because the rosters are sort of lacking a lot of diversity that you get in the later game DLC stuff when DLCs kind of pop up and fill out these army rosters so you have more kind of diverse units. Because those DLCs don't exist, the rosters, you don't have a lot of variety in the armies that you can make. And that's just a natural consequence of the new game in the series versus coming from the end of Warhammer 2, where you have half a dozen legendary lords and all of these race packs that are adding a bunch of different characters and a bunch of different, lord types and a bunch of different hero types. And you can make really varied, diverse armies that have, kind of interesting and like unique mechanics that you're playing around. There's just not that kind of diversity in the game yet. So my thing is I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until like the first race pack comes out, or maybe Immortal Empires comes out, and I can go back and play some of those, old versions of the Warhammer 2 races in the new world of Warhammer 3. And then I was like, you know what I really want to play though? I do want to play a strategy game. I want to play Stellaris. I want to go into Stellaris. And then I looked up and I was like, I wonder if there's any new DLC that I missed. And there is one DLC that I missed, which is Nemesis, which is the one where you become the end
Bad
game
guy.
crisis, right? Yeah, you become the bad guy, or also you save the world against bad guys. It is it was a DLC all about making the late game really, like better and more, just like more stuff going on, right? And then I saw that there is a second new DLC that is coming up and is, I want to say, like right around the corner because it got announced. Typically these get announced soon, like right around when they're going to come out. Anyway, and the new one is Overlord, right? Which is also about expanding the end game, but also just kind of expanding the raw empire building of your civilization, right? So you have better ways to get vassals and specialize your vassals to do specific things. You have new abilities to bring, to like planets and stuff under your control, new mega structures, all that kind of stuff. That is perfect for me, right? The thing that attracts me to Stellaris are the really complex empire building mechanics. And I guess this got announced on March 17th is when this got announced about a month ago. But they haven't announced the release date, which is killing me because I just want this thing to be out. So I have had to make do by playing BattleTech, which is not quite the strategy game that I want, but it is just, a tactics game that is fun to dick around with. And I was playing a bunch of BattleTech over the weekend, and that's kind of been my game that I'm going hard on. The thing that's interesting to me about BattleTech is how different it feels to play the game when you are randomizing your starting units. This is the second time that I've played a brand new campaign, and I've done this a couple of times now, right? But it's the second time I'm playing a brand new campaign, and I have just a completely different array of mechs compared to the last time I played. And I was just like, man, this really does feel like a whole new game because I am playing with with a set of mechs that are asking me to build my kind of loadouts in a particular way. And I'm doing Iron Man and I really fucked up, so I had to restart. And then I got to play with a completely new brand new set of mechs, right? And I just think that stuff is cool and that stuff is interesting. Ooh, excuse me. Anything more than that when it comes to the week, but I just wanted to mention it because it's cool.
Did you ever go back to Elden Ring, or have you given up?
I uninstalled Elden Ring.
Really?
I did one more attempt on that boss, and I thought it was bullshit, and I uninstalled Elden Ring to free up space for BattleTech. I also just wanted to play a strategy game.
Yeah,
I
fair enough.
felt um I've been raiding a lot in WoW, and I've been like doing a lot of like mythics and stuff, and we're now playing alliance characters because in 9.1 or 9.2.5 we'll be able to play cross faction, right? So my friends and I have been gearing up these alternate alliance characters. I'm playing a frost mage because my favorite of the mage covenant abilities, where you turn into a skeleton for a minute and your frost bolts cleave. That build is meta right now, and I'm like, ooh, that's sweet. That is a very cool, fun build. Um, anyway, the uh I realized I was like, man, I have been playing so many of these like really twitchy action games that I just like need to slow the fuck down, right? Like I just don't want to be like destroying my wrists, right, over and over again. Which is why I started thinking about playing, Warhammer and then Stellaris and then BattleTech. Also, it let me do stuff like watch Thelma and Louise. Have you ever seen the movie Thelma and Louise?
No, I'm familiar, but yeah.
It gave me the opportunity to watch Thelma and Louise on my other screen. Um something that I like to do every once in a while is I will just go to HBO Max or uh Netflix or like Hulu or something, and I will sort their movies from A to Z, and I will just start going through until I see something that I'm like, ooh, and it piques my interest. And that's exactly what happened because I've seen Thelma and Louise. I know it's a famous movie. It's directed by Ridley Scott, starring Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon. Um, Iconically driving off the cliff in the Grand Canyon as they choose to commit suicide. But I just like don't really remember all that much about the movie. And I actually really freaking liked it, to be honest. Um, Mostly because it is very focused in like Monument Valley, and I think that's just like the most beautiful landscape you never set a fucking movie in, right? It's like, the mesas of southern southern Utah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, for my part, I played more Elden Ring. I am 93 almost hours in at this point. Um, I have basically I've basically beaten the like I finally like went to the top of the Altus Plateau because I ran out of other things to do or things that I could
Hmm.
reasonably do. Um, I haven't finished the Dragon Barrow because some of it's like the some of the stuff's just a little bit beyond what I want to like do repetitions on, and I haven't. And then there's like an extra area. Like I did all of a particular quest. I don't want to do spoilers for people at home who might care. Um, I have done all of a particular quest line that starts in the second area, which should be enough to put the things through. But I ended up doing a lot of stuff underground. I have done so much like random stuff that has been super fun. Um, but I'm finally advancing the story, and I kind of like I burnt out for a second because I was just like, you know, I like I'm a little bit over leveled for Altus Plateau, um, and this isn't too big a spoiler, but I got to an area, and the boss for this area is two tree sentinels, which is just kind of like, my God, I hated this fight the first time. I just don't like the mounted fights, um, and this one's I find that anything with multiple enemies in this game has this kind of problem that you've identified with the abductors, which I think is the worst with the abductors, but like it's not like splitting your attention between two large creatures is hard to do, and they kind of like interact with each other weird. Um, and it's not the best. I don't think it's the best fights in the game. Essentially,
Hmm.
it feels like there's a lot of like artificial ish difficulty based around kind of like having to like it doesn't feel based around. I don't know. based around some of the camera stuff is what I think you identified, and I think that that's fair. I also just don't particularly like the mounted combat, which I assume would be better if I was doing the mounted combat, but I just, this doesn't work out super well for me. But yeah. And the other big thing it did is yesterday, I jumped back into Crusader Kings 3 because it was Easter, and I was like, I'm going to do a crusade on Easter, and that's going to be, vaguely thematically appropriate. And I did. We won the first crusade. We lost the second crusade. I started as a count level ruler on Sardinia. I very quickly formed the Kingdom of Sardinia and Corsica, and so I've been doing that thing. And it's been super fun. Just kind of like very isolated, so I get like jihaded by some Muslims, and I managed to drive them off the first time, mostly by like being very lucky and very strategic in that I managed to like knock down their one stack before their second like allied stack showed up, and I was able to like ping pong and knock the two down. They never combined to like wipe out my one big stack. But then after the first crusade, I got enough out of that one crusade to like form a holy order, and a couple different times the Muslims decided to invade, and I could just hire the holy order for free, and they were very happy to like help me smack down my opponents. So it's been a fun thing. I'm just kind of like rolling through, killing people, or taking territory. Haven't launched any offensive wars against the Muslims yet because North Africa seems like it's going to be tricky to take. But it's been a time. Otherwise, I don't know if I watched anything particularly compelling on YouTube lately.
Are you excited for Better Call Saul season 6?
I am vaguely. The thing I apparently I sent you this, that Walter White and Jesse Pinkman are coming back.
Yeah.
Which
my hope is that it is very minor. I would be kind of pissed if it was anything more substantial than.
Yeah. Also, they're not great about like reintroduce like, I don't know. The thing that sticks in my head is because I watched all of Breaking Bad, and what's the name of the movie? El
Camino.
El Camino, and like Todd like very obviously gained some weight in between Breaking Bad and El Camino, and they didn't like do anything to hide it. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the way that they brought in Hank Schrader and Steve Gomez as DEA agents, because I think that those two cameos in the 5th season of Better Call Saul worked really well, especially because like obviously Breaking Bad starts in a place where Crazy 8 is a DEA informant, and everything. And so like explaining the backstory of that, I think, has been very cool and very fun. The thing that's crazy to me about Better Call Saul and Walt and Jesse showing up is that the whole genesis of Better Call Saul, and we talked about this in our Better Call Saul like big review episode, is in their first meeting with Saul, he says, I had nothing to do with it. It was all Nacho. And they're like, what? And he's like, Lalo didn't send you guys, right? And so we have met Nacho. We have met Lalo, but we don't know what that thing is that Saul theoretically has done. And I don't know. I'm just honestly, Better Call Saul being the best show on television is like crazy, but it is insane how good somebody pointed this out on Twitter. The 15-year run of Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul is all good, right? Like, it is wall to wall bangers, which is frankly unprecedented. I don't think I could name anything that went on for 15 years and was that amazing, right? So damn. Actually, that's not true. I can name one thing, which is the Venture Brothers.
I am kind of excited to see what they do to resolve kind of like the once a season kind of like view into the post Breaking Bad thing, because
Gene, the guy managing a Cinnabon in Omaha.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I kind of I don't know. I feel like it could have used a little bit more of that over the course of the seasons. Like I thought it was like I don't know. I was naturally interested in that, even though like it's not the point. But
Yeah, there's a cool episode. Have you ever heard of American Greed?
no.
American Greed is a CBS show that is about essentially just, people like criminals, but criminals with huge money amounts, right? Which are like white collar criminals or drug dealers or whatever. And they did an episode on Saul Goodman, like a fictional episode on or I guess James McGill. And it's not that long. It's on YouTube. It's only like 10 minutes long, but I thought that was sweet. I thought that was very cool to watch.
Hmm. I'll have to give it a look. Because like I don't I like the memes because like he is for the most part like as a lawyer he's just kind of like a zealous a zealous advocate for his clients, right? Like
Yep.
I have seen I have seen some memes, right, about like him serving as a defender for like various sundry terrible like real people, right? And be like, Your Honor, who of us hasn't had a bad day or whatever, right? Like type of stuff. Which I always find super entertaining, but
Mm-hmm.
it is supposed to be one of the more realistic like depictions of lawyers in television, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I thought that I enjoy the show, so I'm looking forward to it. What else? We got 10-ish minutes left. If we got anything to talk about. Oh, this is something. I started Chapter House Dune on audiobook.
Nice.
And this is after I finished Inappropriately Human, which is which I want to highly recommend. It's a collection of short stories. I'll put a link in the description. It's one of the podcasts I listen to. Or he's the host of several of the podcasts. This guy's named Andrew Heaton. And he just did a like he has over the past, the way he put it is like over the past like 10, 15 years, he has been like writing these stories and kind of always had them on the back shelf, and he finally decided to like put them together into a collection. And they're mostly science fiction. Some of them are not. And like he's got like if you follow him, you'll recognize some stuff, right? Like a lot of characters come from Oklahoma, he did, and so he I thought that was excellent. Chapter House Dune has been good so far, although it is slowly falling into kind of like Mango's Iron Law of world building, as in things are getting stupider faster. Like the in the last book, it's revealed that like one of the major factions is like a descendant through the ages of Sunni Islam, and like it's like a syncretism between Zen and Sunniism. And in this book, they have revealed that like the Jews exist in space as well, and they have secret Israel, and it's like this is kind of like getting like I think it was better in the early books where it was kind of like it was like they used a lot of the terms, and it was clear that like these are like traditions that kind of like survived and been warped over like the 10,000 years that we've been in space. Whereas the things that are more direct, I don't think are as good, but it's still entertaining. And it's an interesting series, so I want to recommend it. Yeah. Boy. Oh, we've got a chat from a first time viewer. Looks like he's talking about Metroid Prime. Thanks for the comment, Dark Sage 9117. So honestly, I don't know anything about Metroid. Have you played any Metroid, buddy?
I played Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and by the way, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes has one of the bangerest soundtrack bangers of all fucking time. I have no idea though, because I do know that they made a Metroid Prime. I want to say Metroid Prime 3, right?
They did. They have made 3 of them. They announced a 4th one, which was announced 3 or 4 years ago. And
2017.
They scrapped and started development. Like they restarted development on Metroid Prime 4. And we haven't.
Really?
Yeah, we haven't seen anything of it besides like a 4 floating in space.
Yeah, I know in many games you see the classic villain dies and then comes back, but I'm not sure the series should do that. While I liked Dark Samus, Metroid Prime, and the story arc we got, Dark Samus being, like the main sort of villain of Metroid Prime. I wonder how you do a fourth game and keep the plot going without Metroid Prime being in it. Yeah, like I think the thing that attracts me most to Metroid Prime is, doing kind of a Metroidvania in the 3D sort of first person shooter like world compared to something like Dread, right, which is Metroidvania 2D side scrolling. And maybe it is just all about the uh just like kind of the approach to. I'm trying to think of the the mechanics set, right? Well, the thing that makes the Metroid Prime game a Metroid Prime game is less the lore and more the mechanics set of this third person, FPS game. Which reminds me of like Metroid, I want to say Metroid Prime Hunters. Um yeah, I played the shit out of this game. Metroid Prime Hunters was a DS game where there were 6 different of these like hunter characters. They were all mercenaries that were competing against Samus, and they all had their like unique stuff. And I sort of wonder if that is sort of what they're going for, right? Where it is taking the mechanic set of Metroid Prime, but the story itself isn't necessarily related all that much to the other Metroid Primes stories.
Yeah, I think that game was not well received because it basically wasn't Samus. Um, yeah, but like I said, I've played a bunch of Dread, but that's about it. Metroid Dread, like the new one for the Switch, which is good, but I don't know. It's weird. I tend to like Metroidvanias, but I've never been a particular fan of the Metroid games in particular. But yeah, well, thanks for the thoughts, Dark Sage.
Yeah.
I just don't have anything to contribute. Yeah. Um, it's funny. Friend of the cast, X, the other day asked me if I had anything on my gaming radar that I was looking forward to. And the only thing I can think of is like Victoria 3 from Paradox.
It's a good one.
But like, I feel like we like hit a lot of the big ones, right? Like
Mango, they're never going to do a Victoria 3. What are you talking about? That's a meme. Vicky 3. Yeah, no, Victoria 3 is on my radar.
yeah,
Obviously, the Stellaris DLC is on my radar. I don't know, man. We're gonna get the new WoW expansion tomorrow.
right.
The
Yeah, the
announcement.
announcement. Yeah,
Maybe that's what we'll do for a cast is going over that. The other series I have an interesting theory on is Assassin's Creed and where the franchise might go. That's definitely interesting. I like Assassin's Creed a lot, but I was always very surprised at how they took that series to kind of be this historical open world game. Like it is at this point a historical open world RPG, which is very cool, right? But if you had told me 10 years ago that we were going to have more Assassin's Creed games that don't feature assassins in the modern day, I would have called you a lunatic because that seemed so clearly what they were building up to.
yeah. I was gonna say my theory for a long time was that one of the games was going to be you wake up and it turns out you are playing a person in the far future playing like doing the simulation thing on people in the modern day who are then doing the simulations. Like it would be 2 levels of. Does that make sense?
Mm.
I thought that's what's gonna happen, but then it didn't. Maybe it will happen at some point. When they finally decide they've milked that cow for all it's worth. But I don't know. I also haven't. I played like the. I've played basically. I want to call it Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, which is that the name of. I don't even know what the name of it is. Valhalla. That's the real name of
Yeah,
it.
Valhalla.
So yeah, but yeah, I don't. I feel like there's like 2022 blew its load. Forgive the expression on games
Very quickly.
Yeah. I feel like there's like something nagging in the back of my mind that there's something else that's gonna come out, but I just don't know and I don't particularly care. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess that's about it.
Yeah, we've kind of limped across the finish line here. I'm going to say that that's our show for tonight. If you'd like to email us, tell us what you think about Sonic 2 or any of the other things we talked about in the podcast, you can reach us at derpsplaygames@gmail.com or podcast@derpsplaygames.com. You can follow us at twitch.tv/derpsplaygames where these episodes go out live. We've got a YouTube channel. These are loaded primarily to SoundCloud. You can find us on all the podcatchers. We've got a Patreon too if you feel like giving us money. But that's everything I have. Buddy, you have anything else you want to promote?
This week I am doing another in development stream for Estrella. It's Excited Oracles. Last time I was able to beat my run on the stream. I took the whole 2 hours and I beat the game for the first time on stream, which was really sweet. And this time we're doing that again, hopefully, but for the second main character, Solarius the shark, rather than Mooney the owl. And then also movie night this week, ironically, is Sonic the Hedgehog. Because people voted for it. It's not my choice, but if you want to go see the first Sonic the Hedgehog, you want to come see the first Sonic the Hedgehog, it is this Friday.
I am just waiting for you one of these days. Just go, I am the Senate, and like overrule the votes.
I do want to do that. I do want to do that pretty bad.
All right. Well, I'm going to say with that, until next time, dear listeners.
Until next time, loyal listeners.